Welcome to the deep dive. You know, today we're going back to basics. We're exploring the world of science through this really cool book, Science and Its Wonders A1 level.
Okay.
It's all about bringing back that, childhood wonder, when you discovered things for the first time.
Yeah, I get it.
That's the kind of energy we're going for today.
I think what's so cool about this book is that it uses a fictional character, a young boy, to do that.
Interesting.
His name's Oliver, and he kind of rekindles that natural curiosity we all have.
Right. It's like we're seeing science through his eyes, like a brand new perspective.
Yeah, exactly. And it reminds us that really at its core, science is all about understanding. It's about asking questions, solving these mysteries around us.
So tell me, who is this Oliver? What's his story?
Well, he's this super curious kid, always asking why.
I feel like I know the type.
About everything. The sky, birds flying, how plants grow, nothing gets past him.
Kids, right.
And his parents, they tell him, science has the answers. And that just sparks something in him. So he goes on this journey of discovery, starting with the basics, like gravity.
Okay, gravity, yeah. We all know it's the thing that keeps us from, floating away.
Right.
But is there more to it than that?
Oh, absolutely. The book uses this simple example, astronauts in space,
okay.
To kind of show how it works.
Yeah.
But it goes deeper. Think about black holes.
Black holes, yeah.
They're so dense.
Crazy dense.
They have such strong gravity, not even light can escape.
Wow, that's intense.
Yeah, it's not just about holding us down, It's shaping the entire universe in ways we can barely grasp.
It really makes you think.
And then you have Einstein's theory of relativity, right? Oh, wild.
Oh, yeah.
Gravity actually warps space and time, so time, it's not the same everywhere.
Wait, hold on. Time isn't constant.
Not as simple as we think. And we're just scratching the surface of what gravity can teach us.
Okay, wow. My mind's blown already. But where does Oliver go next on this, science adventure?
So from gravity, he dives into the world of atoms, the tiny building blocks of, everything.
Atoms, yeah. I remember learning about them in school, but it always felt so abstract. Like tiny particles. Okay, but so what?
And that's where the book shines, I think.
How so?
It connects those dots. Understanding atoms changed everything. Think about atomic energy powering cities, or nuclear medicine,
right?
Treating diseases.
Wow, yeah. I never really made that connection.
It's huge. These advancements, all because we understand this tiny thing, the atom.
That's amazing when you think about it that way.
It is. And the book doesn't stop there. It goes into how combining atoms makes molecules.
Okay.
Which is the whole foundation of chemistry.
But we went from the massive scale of gravity and space to the super tiny world of atoms and molecules.
Exactly.
Oliver's really covering it all.
He is. And with chemistry, it's not just theory. It's about real-world stuff, like creating new materials.
Yeah, like what?
Everything, really.
Yeah.
Life-saving medicines, or even the plastic we use every day.
So he's not just learning what things are, but how we use them, how they shape the world.
Exactly. And it fuels his curiosity even more.
I bet.
He's starting to get that science isn't just facts in a book. It's a living process that changes our lives.
Okay, so after atoms, where does he go next?
Well, from atoms and molecules, his journey takes him to the building blocks of life.
Building blocks of life, you mean?
Cells.
Oh, right. Cells. I remember those from biology. Like little factories keeping us alive.
That's a great way to put it.
All these tiny parts working together. It's amazing.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, understanding these cells, which seems basic now, right?
Yeah.
It changed medicine forever.
Really? How?
Think about it. Organ transplants, stem cell treatments,
wow.
Even fighting cancer. It all comes back to understanding how cells work.
It's like we cracked the code of life itself.
Exactly. And the book makes this point. Even though cells are tiny, their impact is huge. They're the basis of all living things, And that gets Oliver thinking.
About what?
About bigger questions, like where did life even come from? How did it all begin?
Those are some pretty big questions for a young boy.
They are, and that's where his science journey takes a really cool turn.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
He wants to know about the origins of life, so he starts to look beyond Earth.
Beyond Earth.
He looks up at the stars, into space.
So he goes from tiny cells to the vastness of space.
He does. His journey takes him into astronomy, the study of all those stars, planets, galaxies.
That must be awe-inspiring.
Totally. The book captures that sense of wonder really well.
I bet.
It talks about how fascinated Oliver is by, like, the sheer scale of the universe.
Yeah.
Planets orbiting stars, stars forming galaxies, galaxies stretching as far as we can see.
It really makes you feel small, doesn't it?
It does, but in a good way, I think. Like, realizing we're part of something much bigger than ourselves.
Exactly.
And that's what really gets Oliver hooked on astronomy.
Right.
He starts dreaming of space exploration, venturing out into the cosmos.
It's amazing how he went from why is the sky blue to what's out there in space in just a few steps.
I know, right?
So we've covered like gravity, atoms, molecules, cells, and now astronomy.
Yeah.
That's a lot for one kid to explore.
It is. And through it all, Oliver's not just reading facts.
What do you mean?
He's engaging with these scientific principles, really getting them.
So it's not just memorizing, it's understanding how science works, like the whole process.
You got it. Asking questions, observing, testing ideas, that whole thing.
And the book illustrates this how.
It takes Oliver on a field trip.
Ooh, a field trip. Where'd you go?
To a science museum.
Okay,
The perfect place for hands-on learning.
I can imagine.
He sees robots, fossils, a model of the solar system, all this cool stuff.
That sounds awesome.
It is. And the guide at the museum, they don't just list facts.
What do they do?
They explain the how and the why, like how fossils teach us about ancient life, or how models of the solar system help us predict stuff in space.
So it's about connecting the past, present, and future through science.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Recognizing that science isn't static,
Right.
It's this dynamic tool we use to understand the world.
That's pretty deep for a young boy to grasp.
It is. And this is the moment, I think, that cements his love for science.
I think so.
Yeah. He sees it as more than just a school subject. It's like a way of life.
It's like he's found his passion.
And then the book does something really cool.
What's that?
It introduces him to famous scientists and their work.
Oh, cool. Like,
Well, one of the first is Isaac Newton,
Newton, yeah.
the guy who figured out gravity, the thing that got Oliver curious in the first place.
So it comes full circle.
Right. And the book doesn't just present him as some boring historical figure.
It makes him relatable.
Exactly. It talks about his struggles, his dedication, how he never gave up.
It shows that even the most brilliant minds face challenges.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally. And their passion, their determination, that's what leads to those big breakthroughs that change the world.
It's inspiring.
It is. And it's not just Newton.
Oh, else?
Oliver learns about Marie Curie, the pioneer in radiation research.
Marie Curie, yeah. Her story is amazing.
So inspiring. She faced so many obstacles.
Yeah, being a woman in science back then.
Exactly. And she still made these incredible discoveries.
Discoveries that changed how we understand radioactivity and, use it in medicine and energy.
Yeah, it's incredible.
I like that the book shows us the human side of science, the
Yeah.
passion, the struggles, the triumphs.
Makes it real.
Yeah. And through these stories, Oliver starts to understand the impact science has on the world.
For sure.
So we've seen him go from curious kid to understanding these scientific ideas to seeing how they're applied to real-world problems and being inspired by these incredible scientists.
He's come a long way.
That's quite a journey.
It is. But we've only just scratched the surface of Oliver's adventures in science.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We left off with Oliver, super inspired by those science heroes like Newton and Curie.
Yeah, he's really starting to get it.
It's like he's realizing that science isn't just about, formulas and textbooks.
It's about real people making these amazing discoveries.
Exactly. And that's where things get really cool, right?
The book takes us beyond these, inspiring stories and shows us how Oliver starts to see the connection
Attention to what?
between those big scientific breakthroughs and his own life,
So it's not just about distant stars and complicated theories anymore.
Not at all. It starts talking about how doctors use science
Okay.
to, figure out what's wrong with people and help them get better.
Oh, yeah. That's something we can all relate to.
Right.
I mean, think about how much we rely on doctors and all those medical advancements.
We totally take it for granted.
We do.
Yeah.
But behind every treatment, every medicine,
That there's science.
yeah, a whole world of research and discovery.
And it's not just medicine either. The book talks about engineers,
Mm.
and how they use science to build stuff like bridges and cars.
It's like suddenly science is everywhere.
Exactly. It's woven into our lives.
It's like when you're a kid And you suddenly realize there's a reason for everything.
Right.
Like, why is the sky blue? Why do things fall down?
The world becomes this giant puzzle.
Yeah, a puzzle you want to solve.
And the cool thing is, the book really encourages that.
Encourages what?
That kind of active thinking about science,
Instead of just memorizing facts.
Yeah. It's about asking questions, making connections, seeing how science works all around us.
And speaking of seeing science in action, the book mentions Oliver actually starts doing some experiments.
He does.
Tell me more about that.
Well, he starts simple,
Okay.
He plants a seed and tries to grow a plant.
Oh, that's cute.
It is. But even in that simple act,
Mm-hmm.
there's so much science happening.
Yeah, it's funny. We always think of science as these big, complex experiments. But there's so much to learn from just watching nature.
Totally. And that's what Oliver discovers.
What does he discover?
The book describes him planting the seed, watering it, giving it sunlight. He's so eager to see it grow.
I bet he's keeping a journal, taking notes.
He's like a little scientist in his backyard.
That's awesome.
And through this, hands-on experience, he starts to understand how scientific inquiry really works.
It's not just reading about it anymore.
Exactly. He's living it.
That's such a valuable lesson.
It is.
It shows that anyone can be a scientist.
Anyone. You don't need fancy labs or anything.
It's about that curiosity, that willingness to try things out.
Exactly.
And the book doesn't pretend that science is always easy.
Oh, no, not at all.
It talks about how some experiments might not work, right?
Yeah, things don't always go as planned.
And that's okay.
It is.
Science isn't about being right all the time.
Right.
It's about learning from those mistakes and getting closer to the truth.
Exactly. It's about embracing the unknown, knowing there's always more to learn.
And being okay with setbacks.
Yeah. Like those famous scientists Oliver admires. They didn't just magically discover things.
They had to work for it.
They faced challenges, setbacks, even failures.
But they kept going.
They did. Their dedication, their passion.
Their persistence.
That's what led to their success.
So it's not just about being like a genius.
Nope.
It's about having that grit, that determination to keep going even when things get tough.
That's what matters.
And that's important for everyone, right?
Absolutely.
Not just scientists.
Not at all. Whether you're trying to solve a big problem at work or just figure out why your plant isn't growing.
Or, anything in between.
That spirit of perseverance, that's key.
So Oliver's journey is teaching us that science isn't just what you know.
It's more than that.
It's how you approach the world, how you think, how you learn from your mistakes.
And how you never give up. And what's amazing is the book shows how this scientific mindset, it can help you in any part of life, not just science-y stuff.
So it's not about becoming a scientist.
Not necessarily.
It's about using that scientific thinking in any situation.
Exactly. Observe, ask questions, gather evidence, test your ideas.
Be open to new possibilities.
It's like science becomes this lens you see the world through.
A way to understand things.
And navigate complexity, yeah.
And speaking of understanding things, the book talks about how science itself is always changing, right?
It does. It uses this cool example. Remember when people thought the Earth was flat?
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine?
Right. Like sailing off the edge of the world.
Crazy.
But the point is, what we consider scientific fact today, it might be totally different tomorrow.
That's kind of scary, but also exciting,
It is. It means even the most well-established theories, they can change as we learn more.
So we're always learning, always discovering.
Exactly. That's what keeps science so interesting. It's not about clinging to old ideas.
It's about being open to new discoveries.
Exactly. Adjusting our understanding as we go.
It's like we're all on this giant scientific adventure together.
We are. And the book shows this through Oliver and his friends.
Oh, how so?
He doesn't just keep all this science knowledge to himself.
What does he do?
He shares it with his friends,
That's great.
He gets them curious, too.
Like a little science ambassador.
Exactly. And that's where we leave Oliver at the end of his journey. It's not just about what he's learned.
It's about the impact he has on others.
Exactly. Inspiring them to love science, too.
It's a really inspiring message,
It is.
It shows how powerful storytelling can be when it comes to science.
For sure. We're not just learning facts. We're experiencing the excitement of discovery.
That sense of wonder.
And the power of scientific thinking.
Exactly. And it leaves us with this feeling of possibility.
Possibility for what?
That anyone can embrace science, no matter who they are or where they come from.
And make a difference in the world.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I'm curious, What's next for Oliver? What adventures await him?
That's a great question. And in the final part of our deep dive, we'll explore that, the lasting impact of Oliver's journey
Okay.
and what it means for all of us in this world that's, so shaped by science and technology.
Sounds fascinating. Stay tuned, everyone. Welcome back to the Deep Dive, everyone. It's our final look at science and its wonders. We've been following Oliver on this incredible journey, haven't we?
We have, from simple questions to, actually doing experiments, getting inspired by those big names in science.
It's like he's shown us that science isn't just a subject in school. It's a way of looking at the world.
A way of thinking, yeah.
And what I find really cool about this book is it doesn't end with, the end. It makes you feel like this is just the start for Oliver,
Right, his journey with science is just beginning.
Exactly. Who knows what he'll discover, what path he'll take. It's exciting to imagine the possibilities.
It really is, and I think that's the point, right?
Well,
It's not just about Oliver, it's about all of us.
Okay.
The book kind of hints that anyone can have that same spirit of discovery.
Yeah, that's a powerful message.
Especially now, The world is changing so fast because of science and technology.
Right. We need that scientific mindset more than ever.
We do. Not just to make new discoveries, but to deal with all the challenges we face.
Exactly. Think about, climate change or finding new ways to create energy.
Those are big issues.
Huge. And they need scientific thinking, that willingness to look for solutions.
And to work together, right?
Totally. It's not about having all the answers. It's about, the process.
The process of science.
Yeah. Asking questions, experimenting, being open to new ideas, just like Oliver.
He's a great example for all of us.
He is. And what I find really interesting is the book doesn't say you have to be a scientist to think like a scientist.
Exactly.
It's about fostering that curiosity, that sense of wonder.
Yeah, even in everyday life.
So encouraging kids to ask why, to explore, to get messy, to make mistakes and learn from them.
Creating a culture where it's okay to be curious, to not know everything.
Right. It's not about being perfect. It's about, the journey of learning.
That's what makes it fun.
And that's one of the biggest lessons from Oliver's story.
What is?
That science isn't confined to labs and textbooks.
It's everywhere.
It's a way of seeing the world, a way of thinking, a way of approaching life with curiosity.
I love that.
So as we finish this deep dive, I want to ask our listeners, what makes you curious? What mysteries do you want to explore?
What questions are you asking about the world?
Hold on to that curiosity. Let it guide you, because there's always something new to discover in the world of science.
And who knows, maybe you'll make a big discovery someday.
Until then, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.